Hi there, this is Catherine Miller. I'm the founder of the Miller Law Group and director of the Center for Understanding and Conflict, and I am on a mission to change how people divorce and help them divorce with dignity. And this week, in honor of Financial Planning Week, we are speaking with several experts in financial planning and divorce in order to get their three best tips for financial planning through divorce. And today I'm speaking with Carole Epstein. She's a first vice president at Morgan Stanley and a financial planner there. And she works with many people who are in transition and divorce and life planning. And so welcome, Carole. Thank you so much for agreeing to share your tips with us today.
My pleasure.
So, Carole Epstein, what are your top three tips for people thinking about or getting divorced to help them with their finances and their financial planning?
So to minimize the wealth of things that have to be done and to put them into three categories or three tips, as you call them, first I'm going to start with assemble a team of advisors. Select an attorney, select an accountant, select a personal counselor if you feel that person, that individual would be helpful, and select a financial advisor. This is a team that you'll work with through the process, and each of them brings different expertise, can warn you of potential problems, and can guide you in making decisions about the impending divorce from a financial perspective. Obviously, the advisor, each professional will work together as a team to aid you in the process.
Okay, so tip number one, put together a good professional team. I think that's great advice because a lot of times people rely on their friends and other people they know who've been through divorce, and those people definitely don't necessarily know the whole scope of possibility or the law, and they may or may not be able to give you good advice. So great, Carole Epstein, what is tip number two?
Just a quick comment on tip number one, don't listen to what the dentist says. This person is not your advisor. Go to your professionals, get your advice, make your decisions based on what they tell you. Number two, take control of your financial life. Get your accounts in order. Close joint accounts, open single accounts. Take a look at what your credit rating is. Figure out how to open accounts and begin building a credit rating for yourself.
I think that's also great advice. And one thing that I think is really good for people to do is to exchange credit reports, because there might be things on those credit reports that you don't know about, and it's very often overlooked to actually ask for that.
When I say review accounts, so look at insurance policies. Look at beneficiaries on retirement accounts. All of these documents need to be rethought. Beneficiaries may or may not, likely will be needed to be changed. So all of these kinds of accounts need your attention and need you to begin the building process of standing on your own feet and building your own credit rating and making sure that beneficiaries are getting what you want them to get.
Great advice.
And the last tip, I'm just checking my notes here.
I think that's something, while you're looking for that, a lot of times people don't realize that when you get divorced, there are laws that impact your beneficiary declarations that might be effective to change them, but might not be effective to change them. So you want to make sure that you're not leaving a life insurance policy. You really want to go to your kids, to your ex-spouse, so that for that kind of thing, or a retirement plan, but you really want you to go to your kids, or a later marriage or partner could easily, by mistaking and forgetting, it's an easy thing to forget to do because we're not thinking about these things every day, to make those changes. So, are you ready for tip number two?
Third tip. Work on a budget, a realistic budget, and figure out what's yours and what isn't yours, what's coming to you, and not only the value of the items coming to you, but the cost of living in and maintaining the items that may be coming to you. So it's not enough to know what the value of the house is. You need to understand what paying taxes on the house is, what maintaining the house is, what the cash flow looks like. Do you in fact have the cash flow that will help you live in that house comfortably? Owning the house is one thing, living there comfortably and happily is another thing. So all those kinds of things, figuring out what's individual, what's marital, separating things that might have come to you before the marriage. This, of course, would be a discussion with your attorney. What was gifted to you during the marriage, what came to you before the marriage, what you brought to the marriage, what with regard to any legal documents created before the marriage. All of those things have to be clear, have to be part of a budget, and ultimately a plan to show you whether your assets and whether your income can sustain where you will be living and how you will be living. Of course, the children, college, things of that nature, all have to be taken into consideration.
Yeah. I love the word forecast for that. What do you think about that, Carole? Like, you need to forecast your cash flow and make sure that you're going to be able to afford where you're living, predict what your expenses are, and have a plan to cover your bills.
So important, because obtaining the rights to an asset is one thing, but living out comfortably in the next years while you get yourself in order and your feet on the ground and you find work that you love or you retrain, a budget is of key importance. Owning the house is not enough. Owning the house and being able to live there comfortably is the important thing.
Absolutely.
Very, very important to plan. And the plans are wonderful because the plans allow you to go in and take a look at what those forecasts are. Well, what happens if this occurs? What happens if the spouse dies and I'm planning on X number of years of child care, child monies coming in? How do I use an insurance policy to guarantee that those monies will be coming in for that period of time? So the plan is actually more important than the value of the property that you're getting as a result of the divorce, in my opinion.
That's well thought out. So, Carole Epstein, if people are interested in contacting you or learning more about what you do, how can they do
that? They can Google me. They can use my name, Carole Epstein, Morgan Stanley, and go to my website. It's an elaborate website. I've spent a lot of time creating it and keeping it up to date. And it shows who I am, what's important to me, and how I work with my clients.
All right, that's terrific. Is there a phone number that you can be reached at?
There is 914-225-4859.
Great. Thanks so much for helping us out with your tips today.
My pleasure.